I can't believe I filmed this whole video and didn't mention Father Ted. Father Ted is the only show that I mentioned in this video that you definitely have to watch. Thank you. Enjoyed the rest of the video. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So this is going to be the last of the favourites videos because I can't really think of any other categories I could do. This video I'm going to tell you about my favourite TV shows. All of these shows are available on Sky, Netflix, Amazon Prime, whatever streaming service you use. So the first category of TV shows is cartoons. They're adult cartoons, if you want to call them that. The first one is Bob's Burgers. It's about a fella called Bob and he owns a burger restaurant. He lives above the restaurant with his wife Linda and 3 kids, and it's just a funny cartoon about all the stuff they get up to. The sense of humour in it is real kind of dry comedy and sarcastic. I kept telling my friends to watch it, and Lauren watched it and she said she could see why I liked it. That it's real my type of comedy. So if you want to know what I find funny, watch Bob's Burgers. The next cartoon is one that I'm sure most people will have heard of. It's called Rick and Morty. It's about this fella called Rick and he's like a mad scientist and he lives with his daughter, her husband, and their kids. So Morty is one of his grandkids and he brings him on like adventures in, say, outer space or different versions of their reality. So they'll meet like different Ricks and different Mortys, but it's very funny. And again, it would be like an adult cartoon kind of thing. Rick gets drunk all the time and like he'd be doing drugs and stuff while they're out on their missions, and Morty gets really panicked about it. And I actually saw a video the other day of the voice of Rick doing a recording and he was just taking shots and shots and shots. The director was like, this is honestly the longest it's ever taken us to film a scene because he's just so drunk. So the actor who plays Rick actually gets drunk while Rick is being drunk in the cartoon. So the next kind of category is sitcom. The first one is called How I Met Your Mother and there's about 500 series of this. It's basically about this fella called Ted Mosby and his 4 friends. He is telling his kids how he met their mother. It takes him 9 seasons to tell them the story of how he met their mother, and along the way like he'd go on a date and he'd be going out with a girl and they'd be engaged even. And the kids would kind of assume, oh, this is how we met our mother, and then he'd be like, but then we broke up and it all went horribly wrong. Jason Segel, is that how you say his name? He's in it. Your One from American Pie is in it as well. Neil Patrick Harris is in it. He's very good. If you're looking for something to use up a bit of time, I definitely recommend How I Met Your Mother. So the next kind of sitcom, I didn't really know what category to put this in. It's called Jane the Virgin and it's a show on Netflix and I think there's maybe 6 or 7 series of it. Jane is, I don't know, is she like 21, 22, 23? Her grandmother is very religious, so she taught her like, you need to save yourself for marriage because if you don't, this is what happens. And she shows her like a crumpled rose and you can't get the rose back to normal. So she's saying like, don't have sex till you get married. Jane is following this even though her mom got pregnant when she was a teenager, so she's doing kind of the opposite of what her mom did. But one day she goes for a gynecologist appointment and the doctor mixes up the patient's charts, so she does one thing to Jane that was meant to happen to another woman. Jane ends up getting pregnant. Obviously people assume, oh, she's just lying, like she's definitely not a virgin still, but she's like, no, I haven't done anything. She has a boyfriend, but she was like, I haven't done anything with him and I don't know how I'm pregnant and this is ridiculous. And they kind of find out how it happened then, and this is just a story of all the stuff that happens to her while she's pregnant. She kind of finds out who the accidental dad is. I think it's done in the style of a telenovela, which is a Mexican or South American soap basically, so it's really dramatic at times. It's really well done as well. I like it and it's just a nice thing to watch. The next sitcom that I love is That 70s Show. I just remember this being on TV when I was younger, and you know the way when it's on TV you never watch it in order because they don't really show it in order or you might miss shows. I went back and watched it all on Netflix and I just love it. It's just so good. All the episodes are great. The acting is great. The stories are funny. I might watch it again. If you haven't seen That 70s Show, I don't know where you've been, but you should definitely watch it. And it's about teenagers that live in the 70s. The next TV series is called Derry Girls. It's an E4 show and there's only 2 seasons at the minute. It kind of does what it says on the tin. So it's a group of girls who live in Derry. They're teenagers and they lived there during the Troubles in the 90s. So for anyone who doesn't know what the Troubles was, you have the Republic of Ireland and you have Northern Ireland. Northern Ireland is part of the United Kingdom. And in Northern Ireland, you have people who want to stay part of the United Kingdom, and you have people who want to be part of the Irish Republic. During the 90s in Northern Ireland, there was a lot of fighting and bombing. They'd bomb school buses, they'd bomb houses, they'd put petrol bombs in your cars. Yeah, there was a lot of fighting. So this is just about 4 teenage girls who live in Derry at the time when the Troubles was going on. It's not serious, like it's a funny show. It's done really well. It does deal with the issues as well, but in a more light-hearted way. Then the next section, I've just called this series. The first one I have is Grey's Anatomy. I think most people will have heard of Grey's Anatomy. It's a woman called Meredith Grey. She's a doctor. It just shows the stuff that happens to her and her friend. The first series starts off like she's training to be a doctor, and you kind of follow her through her training and her, it's not called an apprenticeship, but like start off training and then you do your apprenticeship and then you get like a full-time speciality job. So she goes into surgery. But it's really dramatic. Loads of people die. It's very full on. And the most recent series is set in April of last year, so April 2020. They're dealing with coronavirus, which is really, really weird to watch, but very good, and the issues that they deal with in this are written really well. So the next serious show is Prison Break. It's about 2 brothers. One of the brothers gets put in prison and the other brother knows that he didn't commit the crime that he's in prison for, so he gets arrested on purpose in order to break his brother out of prison. The first 2 series shows the younger brother being put in prison, and you get to see little bits of his plan and stuff. You get to see how they try to escape and if it worked. The next series is called Peaky Blinders. For anyone who knows me, this isn't a surprise that this is in my favourite TV shows. It stars Cillian Murphy, who's one of my favourite actors. He's Irish, he's from Cork. He plays Thomas Shelby, who is like the leader of this crime gang in early 1900s Birmingham. It basically just follows them, all the bad stuff they do, the people they have to kill, the deals they carry out. They had fought in World War One, so it shows kind of the mental issues they had from World War One. I think there's 4 or 5 series, and another filming a new series now. They have really, really good guest actors that come in, so like Tom Hardy's been in it, Adrian Brody's, Helen McCroy, and obviously Cillian Murphy. So if you like crime, almost mafia style stuff, I definitely recommend you check this one out. The next TV show I want to mention is The Walking Dead. I love shows with zombies and stuff in it, but I also hate them because it's like, what would I do if zombies came here right now? I don't know, would I try to survive, or would I just be like, nah, peace out, I'm gone. As I said, it's a zombie series and it follows Rick, who is the sheriff of a small town in America. He gets shot before the whole zombie thing happens and he's in a coma, and he wakes up a few weeks or months after the zombie apocalypse has started. For the first series, he has to figure out what's happening, try to survive, try to find his family, see if his family are still alive. That's basically what all the series are, is just him and the group that he's with trying to stay alive during the zombie apocalypse. And the last kind of serious series I really, really recommend is called Money Heist, or La Casa de Papel. It's a Spanish series and it's on Netflix. You have 2 options when you want to watch this. Either you can do what I did and watch it in Spanish and read the subtitles, or I know my brother watched it with English dubbed over. That just annoys me. I'd rather the subtitles. So you have 2 options. You don't have to read if you don't want to. There's 4 series of this and they're releasing a new series this month, I think. It just follows a gang of people in Spain who decide to rob the Royal Mint of Spain, which is basically where they print money for Spain, and it's like a really big complicated robbery, really elaborate plan. They have the people who go in to the mint and they hold people hostage in order to print money for themselves, and then you also have the professor who stays on the outside. He's kind of the brains behind the operation. It's a really good cat and mouse TV show between the professor and the police. All the stuff the police do try to catch them, and then all the stuff the professor does to keep the police away. You think, oh, the police have caught them now, and then the professor is like, no, I knew this was going to happen, this is part of the plan, and he saves the day. It's just great. I really recommend this. Don't be put off by the fact that it is a Spanish TV show and not an English speaking one. Please watch it. The next section is like reality TV, because everyone loves a good bit of reality TV apart from my dad, because he said that's shite. Ones that are my favourites: 90 Day Fiancé, which is in America. If you want to get married to a foreigner that doesn't have a visa, you can bring them over if you're engaged, and then you have to get married within 90 days of them arriving. This TV show is just following people who are going through the K1 visa process. The next show is called Sister Wives. It's a polygamous family in America, so it's following their everyday lives. And they used to live in Utah, but polygamy is actually illegal there. They could have been sent to jail, so they had to leave that state and they moved to Las Vegas. And it kind of just shows how their families work. They have like 30 kids or something, but obviously that's between 4 different wives, but they're all one big family. And the next 3 shows are Love Island, which I'm sure everyone knows. There's another one from MTV called Are You the One? Whatever 20 single people are matched up with a partner, everyone is put in a house and you have to try figure out whose partner is who. Then the last one is Married at First Sight Australia. I haven't watched any other versions of it. Again, does what it says on the tin. 2 strangers, the first time they meet is when they get married, and then they go through the whole experiment. They move in together, they go on honeymoon with a complete stranger. At the end, you get to see like who wants to stay a couple and who doesn't want to stay a couple. My next section, I'm going to call this my gold TV section, because these TV shows are always on gold on Sky. First one is called Fawlty Towers. It's about a fella called Basil Fawlty who owned a B&B. I think it was made in the 70s or something like that. All the funny stuff that happens to him and his wife and like the waiter in the B&B that they work in. I suppose it'd kind of be like, do you know, the Carry-On films? It'd kind of be similar comedy to that, because it was around the time those films were made. The next TV show is called Keeping Up Appearances, and I always remember watching this when I was younger. It's about a woman called Hyacinth. She lives in a house with her husband. She likes to think of herself as like upper class kind of person, but in reality her family came from and still live in lower class. It's set in England in the 80s or 90s, I'd say, but she always tries to come across as like, I'm so posh and blah blah, and like she answers the phone saying like, hello, this is the Bouquet residence, Hyacinth speaking, but her name is actually Hyacinth Bucket, so she's trying to pronounce it posher than it is. The last of my old comedies is The Vicar of Dibley. It's about a vicar who is like a priest. Vicars can be women, so it's a woman vicar who moves to this small village in England and she has to try get to know all her new community. Again, just a really funny show. And the last 3 shows that I mentioned, they're nostalgic because I used to watch them with my dad when I was young. They're still as funny now as they were back then. The very last section is documentaries. I'd watch any documentaries really. Any murder documentary on Netflix, I've probably seen it. They're really interesting to me. And I also like the F1 documentary Drive to Survive, which is good even if you're not interested in F1. It's the most exciting parts of the season all put into different episodes. So that's it. Thanks for watching again. Don't forget to subscribe and I'll see you next time.